This journey has been incredible. 7 years in the making. And for me, the only expectation for the longest time was just to try to figure out a way to tell this story and to complete the project. And so the fact that it's been, received the way it has, it's been at festivals, and that it's going to be, out in theaters and on television, that has just far exceeded any of my expectations for this story. It's been surreal, but the greatest thing is that it's not just my own experience, that my family, my friends, everyone who has supported me while trying to figure out how to tell this story, they've also been allowed to go on this journey with me. The motivation for me wanting to share this was just, I was actually in the third year of my grad film program at NYU, and I was standing inside of a bank in New York City, and I had a panic attack. And it was strange because prior to that, I hadn't had any type of anxiety or panic, and this panic attack was caused, I believe, by the subconscious. I always believed that I would be involved in a crime again, but not as someone doing the crime, but as a victim. And this day in the bank, I thought someone was going to come in there, and it shook me, and it was actually not even real. It didn't happen, but the feeling stayed with me, and I sat with it, and I kept trying to figure out why, after all of these years, I had not returned to make, to try to right a wrong, to talk to the people who had been involved in the robbery, and to apologize, because that experience was an experience, but it didn't represent me and as a person, and so I just felt compelled to do it. And then after discussing with my mom about it, I realized that my whole family hadn't talked about the robbery, and that maybe we should all just sit down and explore, how did this happen in the first place? How did we get ourselves into this situation? The first step that I did, after the first phone call with my mom and realizing that, just hearing from her on the phone, just all the emotions and all the feelings she had about the robbery and just about me being in prison, I just realized, oh wow, this could be cathartic for all of us, because you're right, no one had said a word. We were all busy just trying to live, trying to put this in the past. And I think everyone felt that it could be healthy and it could be healing. I hadn't gone to therapy. Nobody had gone to therapy, and just sitting down and talking about real things with people you love, it's a rare occurrence. We just really don't have the time anymore to sit down and have these discussions. And so I was fortunate enough to be able to have the time and to talk about this, and everyone knew that it was going to be emotional, but the cool thing is that everyone felt comfortable. They didn't feel like some outsider was coming in telling their story. It was as if they were just in a confessional and we were having a conversation. What I was feeling at 16 was, I just felt a sense that the world wasn't exactly how I had perceived it to be. And I was happy. I wasn't a depressed 16-year-old. I had food, I had clothes, but it just seemed to me that we couldn't ever get out of the situation we were in. We just felt stuck. And I was sort of just amazed, because I guess around that age, and even a few years before, I was able to see the difference in class and privilege, but I still didn't really have an understanding of how difficult it is to have access to this American dream. And so I felt like, my family was working hard, and they were good people, and I just couldn't figure out why we weren't moving forward. What was keeping us stuck? And to be at the time 27 and to go back and make this film about the 16-year-old, it was a surreal experience, because there were moments that were illuminated to me during the interviews. I didn't know that there was a gun shell used, that someone brought that into the bank. I didn't know the true experience of the victims. So all of that was eye-opening, and it really sort of just collapsed the time and put me back into that space. And I realized that I wasn't as far removed from it as I thought I was.
Right.
This became my problem just from living in the house. I'm the oldest, I'm the only son. And so even if I didn't have a conversation with my mom, I was still aware that the environment was tenuous. I was still aware that things were tight at home, and there was a strain, and not just in my own household, but in the extended family. I was aware that everybody was struggling. And it was haunting me, because I was just like, again, I just couldn't figure out, why were we struggling when everyone was getting up every day, going to work, exhausting themselves? Some people had 2 to 3 jobs, and yet they just couldn't get over the hump. And so that was, that pressure as a son and as a man, and wanting to save and wanting to protect. It's innate. It's your mom, and you feel the need to help, and you want to help. My hope is that audiences come away with this the feeling that this is not just a singular story, that I'm not an anomaly, that there are a lot of individuals who are caught up in the criminal justice system who are human, who are complicated, who've made mistakes, but they're not bad people. We're so quick to judge and so quick to label, and we just want to simplify everything. But we're much more complicated than that. And I hope people understand that in order for us to grow, just as a society, as a community, we have to be compassionate, and we have to hopefully allow people a space to move forward and to grow and to evolve, and that you just can't forever strike someone out. Like, this is one life. This is one life. You get one opportunity, and people should be allowed to change. Sure. My cinematographer is Daniel Patterson. He was a classmate of mine at New York University, also a best friend and a brother. And he was one of the earliest individuals I reached out to and told him that I wanted to go down to Texas and make this film. And he was on board. He pushed me to go do it. And it's been an incredible journey for both of us because Spike Lee came on board early, and this film finished this year, and Daniel ended up shooting Spike's most recent feature film this year, and so it's like a full circle thing with all three of us. But it's been wonderful having Daniel, because for a lot of the interviews, there was only Daniel. I was talking to myself, and he being my brother, he was able to keep me in check, and he was the one who told me, that felt authentic, that felt genuine. You said the wrong thing, say it again. And so, he was, having him on set. I just can't discount what his presence brought to this whole experience.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
It was
you.
a pleasure meeting you, and much success.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. One of the most interesting things that I learned from doing this project was just, just the power of the process of cinema, that this film has brought together so many disparate individuals. I was just recently in New York, and Pastor Ned, who was a customer from the bank, he and I participated in a StoryCorps, and we sat down and interviewed each other for about 2.5 hours, and that whole process was healing. And the fact that we're continuing going through this healing process, and it's been 17 years, and we're still closing this chapter, and it's been remarkable.